to get you ordained. Well, I didn't know that I was going to be a minister until that moment. And I'm like, what? And so then when we got ordained, I was like, what? So obviously Spirit has in mind, Spirit's been up ahead, Spirit knows what it is that will make me happy. And even Sandy, I mean, I wonder about myself sometimes because people say things to me and I'm like, what? So she says, your ministry's upstairs. When I work with people, I work with their hair. It gives me great pleasure, deep satisfaction. If I can sit and comfort you, or I can say something that is of value to you, that when you walk out my door, you feel better about your situation. I don't think it really gets any better than that. So that's my icing on the cake when those of you who come upstairs come to visit with me. The third element is what stands in their way. And she gave us a little bit of a formula. C plus C equals C. Character, you and I, plus conflict or contrast equals change. And then the fourth thing, and think about this in terms of a novel that you really love. I mean, don't we all love those stories where we see this weak, emotional, sentimental character who just can't make heads or tails of his life, and he has this huge dream, and he struggles, and he makes it. Don't we just love that? Mm-hmm. Indiana Jones, I mean, my God, look at, he's in that pit of snakes, you know what I mean? But the thing is that it gives us all hope that our journey, our particular path of evolution is going to take us through the proverbial pit of snakes. And doesn't it feel good when we go, I did it! I got there! When we were talking about walking through fire a couple of weeks ago. And I did that a couple of years ago with Stuart. Well, actually it's been 20 years ago. Time flies. And you get to the other side, you just walk through 20 feet of 2,500 degree coals. And people at the other end of it lift you up and stick your feet in buckets of water. And you look at people walking across with such astounding joy on their face. And you think, what? So in our own stories, we need, the last part is, before I finish that sentence, is the fourth element is we all have a hole in ourselves. And we need that hole but there's a choice, which we always get in this particular life. If there's another place about it, I don't know. But in this one, we all have a hole. And that either pushes us to growth, or we allow it to haunt us and torture us throughout life. We all know people who are dragging their dead carcass of what happened once upon a time with them. And I run from them, those kind of people, because that's not the way I want to live my life. I want to overcome my particular rocks in the road. Which brings me to my 40th high school reunion I just got back from a couple of weeks ago in Florida. And when I was in 7th grade, just a little backstory, my parents had gotten a divorce. It was a tremendously difficult couple of years. My grandmother had passed on. We moved 13 times. My baby sister had drowned. There was a lot of really sad, very, very hard things that we went through. So as I entered puberty, we moved to Tampa. I started a new school. I was overweight, feeling very vulnerable, very frightened, and so on and so forth. And I encountered in junior high school a couple of kids that played a very nasty joke on me. And I'm not a grudge holder, really, but I have carried a grudge for those two people for 40 years. And so we went to the reunion, and there was people that seemed to be needing to resolve issues that had happened in high school. One of our friends was 6'2", her name is Becky, and Becky said, I can't remember all of the girls in my class that were tall. She was 6'2", but there were lots of us that were 5'10", I'm 5'10". My girlfriend's 5'11", 5'12", 6 foot. And all of this emotion was up for people rectifying that and clearing it up. And we were talking to each other. It's like, why did you feel insecure about that? You're such a beautiful person, you know. I told my friend who had shared this with us, and I said, you were one of my favorite memories. You were one of my favorite people that helped me get through high school. And one of my friends said, and it's interesting because I don't remember her being in the prank, but she said, we played a very nasty trick on a girl in junior high school, and she said, and I have always felt really bad about that. And so here she's carrying it too. And I remembered the metaphor of the monks who, you know, the hospitable monk carried the woman across the stream. Well, I am the monk that carried the girl several miles later. So yesterday, I was coming to work and I said, I'm not sure what happened, what was going on in the lives of those two people that I held the grudge against. But I'm going to let it go because I know what kind of pitiful shape I was in when I was there. And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they were having problems too. But they are in essence God, and I pray with all my heart that their lives have been healthy and positive and full of love and everything else that I wish for anybody else that I love. But they were there for me today. That lesson has brought me here. Which brings me to a, excuse my voice, but I was reading Eric Butterworth. He was a reverend in a religious science group in New York City back in 1985, and I came across an old article. And so there was a biblical passage that I didn't know I was looking for, but I believed with all my heart that this is the truth. And I found it last night, and I wanted to share it with you. It is, for those of you who like to look up things in the Bible, it's Matthew 6, 19 through 21. It says, lay not for yourselves treasures upon the earth, where moth and rust corrupts, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth or rust, it's hard because there's rust, dust. Where neither moth nor rust corrupts, and where thieves do not break through or steal. For where your treasure is, there will be your heart also. Because it is my belief that we don't carry any of the things that we collected here with us, but we do carry our evolution and the gifts and the treasures that we have collected in becoming better human beings. And I wanted to share with you today because for those of you who are not practitioners, which I'm thinking, what is there, one or two of you? That may not know the steps to treatment. Are there anybody that does not know the steps? I don't want to be redundant. Good. At least one or two of you. If you haven't taken a beginner's course in religious science, I would really recommend to do this simply because when a carpenter goes to build a house or a cabinet, he needs tools to do that. To become our own, advocates in our spiritual journey, you need tools to help you in those passages where a tool would come in awfully handy. And when I was a child, I was raised a Christian Scientist, and I am astounded to tell you that there are two tools that I brought out of Sunday school. One was the biblical story, Daniel in the Lion's Den, where when I'm in trouble, I just remember that painting where he kept his eyes focused on